as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Christ the royal master leads against the foe. Forward into battle, see his banners go. Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Oh, for a faith that will not shrink, though pressed by every foe, that will not tremble on the brink of any earthly woe, that will not murmur or complain beneath a chastening rod, but in the hour of grief or pain will lean upon its God. A faith that shines more bright and clear when tempest rage without, that when in danger knows no fear, in darkness feels no doubt. Lord, give us such a faith as this, and then whate'er may come, we'll taste and hear the hallowed bliss of an eternal home. A charge to keep I have, a God to glorify, a never-dying soul to save, and fit it for the sky, to serve the present age, my calling to fulfill. Oh, may it all my powers engage to do my Master's will. Arm me with jealous care, as in thy sight to live, and O thy servant, Lord, prepare a strict account to give. Help me to watch and pray, and on thyself rely, assured if I my trust betray, I shall forever die. Rise up, O man of God, have done with lesser things, give heart and mind and soul and strength to serve the King of Kings. Rise up, O man of God, his kingdom tarries long. Bring in the day of brotherhood and end the night of wrong. Rise up, O man of God, the church for you doth wait, her strength unequal to her task. Rise up and make her great. Lift high the cross of Christ, tread where his feet have trod, as brothers of the Son of Man, rise up, O men of God. Let's edify, shall we, CJ?
Oh,
Made his heart go pity pat. He's like, shoot, I didn't know I was still in stream. Oh, hello, O'Shea. I'm going to turn that off.
Shay, I already did that.
It's actually not showing up on it. You tagged anybody, other than I guess he just moved it over to readers chat and stuff, didn't he? My God and I go in the field together. We walk and talk as good friends should and do. We clasp our hands, our voices ring with laughter. My God and I walk through the meadows here. We clasp our hands, our voices ring with laughter. My God and I walk through the meadows here. He tells me of the years that went before me, when heavenly plans were made for me to be, when all was but a dream of dim conception, to come to life as verdant glory see, when all was but a dream of dim conception, to come to life as verdant glory see. My God and I will go for I together. We'll walk and talk as good friends should and do. This earth will clasp, and with it common trifles, but God and I will go unendingly. This earth will pass, and with it common trifles, but God and I will go unendingly. Hello, Sean. CJ's in the background playing Decky Ecky Ecky. Scared the pudding out of him earlier when I popped him into, unbeknownst to him, popped him into stream, and he was so wrapped up in trying to tag people that he wasn't aware of it. I love doing that. It scares the pants off him. I wouldn't be doing that, young man. I wouldn't be doing that. Hmm. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Yeah, we did find out that his heart still works. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I don't know how you got me back. They're the ones that actually didn't have to suffer for my voice. Didn't get me back at all. You just simply covered their ears. When in the bitter land, before the bar we stand, how deeply grieved our souls will be. My name's Levi. If any lost one there should cry in deep despair, you never mentioned him to me. You never mentioned him to me. You helped me not the light to see. You met me day by day and knew I was astray, yet never mentioned him to me. Figured the name of the song yet? Oh, let us spread the word where'er it may be heard. Help groping eyes, souls the light to see, that yonder none may say, you showed me not the way. You never mentioned him to me. You never mentioned him to me. You helped me not the light to see. You met me day by day and knew I was astray, yet never mentioned him to me. A few sweet words may guide a lost one to his side, or turn sad eyes on Calvary. So work as days go by, that yonder none may cry, you never mentioned him to me. You never mentioned him to me. You helped me not the light to see. You met me day by day, and knew I was astray, yet never mentioned him to me. What is a lucre? It's filthy. We're not to be accused of being greedy of filthy lucre. Oh. Reba asked if O'Shea has the lollipops finished. I don't know. What do you say? Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop. Ba-dum, bum, bum. That's just one of the designs. He's also got smiley faces.
Many. Oh, you mean Caesars?
He also has this. This one, by the way, is bubblegum flavored. And this is a double star, which has must have a tail, a shooting comet or something. I think the green are mint, but I'm not sure. Though I through the valley of shadow, or mountain or troubled sea, and oft in the darkness have traveled, the Lord has been mindful of me. The Lord has been mindful of me. He blesses and blesses again. My God is the God of the living. How excellent is thy name. How excellent is his name. Much more in my grief and my sorrow, much more than adversity, much more than the all I have given. The Lord has been mindful of me. The Lord has been mindful of me. He blesses and blesses again. My God is the God of the living. How excellent is his name. I'm rich, I am saved, I am happy. I've health and prosperity. And often, I've friends Man, I'm really messed up. I've friends, I have doors ever open. The Lord has been mindful of me. The Lord has been mindful of me. He blesses and blesses again. My God is the God of the living. How excellent is his name. Okay. And by the way, I didn't say it, but hello, Teresa. Good to have you with us. Sean says, so, Brother Levi, I'm now in the process of creating a poster to hang on my wall about my temper, tongue, and speech. I have already got James 1:19 through 20, James 3, Proverbs 15:1 and 2. What are some other scriptures I could put on this poster? Speaking of which, could you sing the hymn Angry Words and kind of explain what this hymn is talking about other than our anger and temper?
Lemon strawberry twist.
And, of course, just a moment, and I'll get right into some of that. This happens to be O'Shea's rendition of CJ. Ba-dum-bum. See that? It's CJ. It's a spitting image. See? It's twin. It's a twin. And then he's also doing these, which is a strawberry lemon.
Oh, that's you, Levi. You're just a stick.
I can't hear you, CJ.
What?
You're very, very faint. Hello, Angie. Teresa says they look good. You need to ship me one, O'Shea. Reba says, I agree. One of each. I guess they are for the school bus kids. Yes, ma'am. Teresa says, that sounds good. Any sugar? Teresa, they're nothing but sugar. That's what lollipops are. Sugar and flavoring. Teresa says, I'm thinking about a cookie and lemonade sale for ALS. O'Shea says, with an echo, by the way. Echo, echo, echo.
On the plus side, no corn syrup.
Ah, yes, no corn syrup. Here, you want to take these out of here?
They're 100% sugar. but
They
no corn
are
syrup.
100% sugar. I wonder how long it'll take CJ to figure out that I messed with his audio.
You can change my settings. That's too far. Wow.
Love you too, CJ.
Do you?
I can hear you now.
Are we ready for another CEM commercial? We've had
A CEM commercial.
we haven't had those in a while.
As our dear Patricia dear Laura would say, edifying CEM, where we edify saints with professionalism and shenanigans.
Yep.
Angie wants to know, O'Shea, how many taste tests did you take? Reba says, that's messed up, Levi.
It is, isn't it, Reba? I did nothing to him. I just muted his microphone.
I figured since you were messing with my audio, I might as well mess back.
Please don't sure.
Oh, Sean brings out the big sticks.
By the way, y'all, I think I'll be live streaming my graduation. Not the whole thing, just me walking. So if you want to see me graduate, hop onto my page Thursday at 7
AM?
p.m.
Sean says, I figure if you can sit and eat a huge bag of mini M&Ms that are full of sugar, you'll be fine eating one of O'Shea's homemade suckers. Angie's like, ooh, you're telling me. Are you telling? O'Shea says, one of each flavor, and then I have some of the drops and mess ups. Yeah, he gets a sugar high when he does this. Oh, yes, you're totally innocent. She said that with a totally laced with sarcasm there, CJ. That was a sarcasm sucker. All right. Let's get into the request, shall we? All right. 41 times actually, is the word angry used throughout the entirety of the Bible. Just the word angry itself. This is not including the word wrath or anger, angered. This is just angry. And we first find the word used when Abraham is beseeching the Lord and requesting that he not become angry with him on the for the sake of Sodom and Gomorrah, when he's bargaining over Lot. Perhaps there's 40 righteous. Remember that? And we then also we find it that it's the word that's used when Rachel is sitting on the camel's goods, and Laban is looking for his teraphim, the false gods that of his family. And she says to her father, do not be angry with me. I can't rise up, for the matter of women is upon me. Then Joseph says, be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that you sold me not hither. What does the Bible say itself about anger in regard to us? Well, as we go through the list of the words where the word angry itself is used, we find God becoming very angry at Israel, 2 Kings 17:18. Why? Because they pursued other gods. They constantly chased other gods. And we can find that, as I said, in 2 Kings chapter 17. They caused look at what they did. They forsook all the commandments of Jehovah their God, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made an Asherah, and worshipped all the host of heaven, and served Baal. I know you can't see the list. I'm going through it. And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, and used divination and enchantments, and sold themselves to do that which was evil in the sight of Jehovah, to provoke him to anger. So they provoked God to anger. And Jehovah became angry, very angry with Israel, and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only. Now, Judah kept not the commandments of Jehovah their God, but walked in the statutes of Israel. And Jehovah rejected all the seed of Israel, and afflicted them, and delivered them into the hand of the spoilers, until he cast them out of his sight. So we see God becoming angry. There is a form of anger that is acceptable. It's a righteous anger, righteous indignation. Solomon, in 2 Chronicles chapter 6, we have the prayer of Solomon here, and I'm going to back up just a bit into the chapter just so we can see where it is. Solomon blesses the people, and he is speaking to the people. Jehovah hath said he would dwell in thick darkness. He turns, he blesses all the assembly of Israel, verse 3, and here's his blessing. Or rather, then after he blesses the people in up to verse 11, he then turns and he prays to Jehovah, and we get down, as I said, to verse 36. And we're backing up. If thy people go out to battle against their enemies by whatsoever way thou shalt send them, and they pray unto thee toward this city which thou hast chosen, and the house which I have built for thy name, then hear thou from heaven their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause. If they sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them to the enemy, so that they carry them away captive unto a land far off or near. Yet if they shall bethink themselves in the land whither they are carried captive, turn again and make supplication unto thee in the land of their captivity, saying, we have sinned, we have done perversely, and have dealt wickedly. If they return unto thee with all their heart, with all their soul in the land of their captivity, whither they have carried them captive, and pray toward their land which thou gavest unto their fathers, in the city which thou hast chosen, and toward the house which I have built for thy name, then hear thou from heaven, even from thy dwelling place, their prayer, their supplications, and maintain their cause, and forgive thy people who have sinned against thee. So Solomon is beseeching God to in his anger still be open unto the ear to the prayers of his people when they confess their sin and pray toward the temple, even though he might be angry with them. David comes at it almost from a different aspect. He actually accuses God of being angry, as it were, or states the fact that God has been angry. Psalm 60, verse 1, which we read a week or so ago in our devotion, last week in our devotion. This was a miktam of David. It was a teaching miktam, a teaching psalm, when he strove with Aram Naharaim and Aram Zobah, and Joab turned and smote Edom in the valley of Salt. O God, thou hast cast us off, thou hast broken us down, thou hast been angry. O restore us again. And we can see several times where Israel appeals unto God, or it is that rather that Israel has angered God, and God is righteous in his anger. And the reasoning that he is righteous is because they have forgotten his covenant. They have forgotten his commandments. They have totally put them out of their mind and left off doing them. Psalm 80, verse 4. O Jehovah, God of hosts, how long wilt thou be angry against the prayer of thy people? Thou hast fed them with the bread of tears and given them tears to drink with a measure. The psalmist asks, how long are you going to be angry? And multiple psalms like 79 verse 5, 85 verse 5 ask the same question, will you be angry with us forever? But Proverbs 14 verse 17 is the preacher, the wise man Solomon says, a wise man, rather, he that is soon angry will deal foolishly, and a man of wicked devices is hated. Simply put, is that if you are quick to fly off the handle, someone else can control you. If you are allowing someone else to control you, then you're going to be, what's the word I'm looking for, CJ? If you're allowing someone else to control you, then one, you're not in obedience to God, because we're supposed to control ourselves. But secondly, God's not in control of you.
Yeah, and you're also a slave to anger.
You have become a slave to your anger.
Ultimately, a slave to sin, Romans 6 talks about.
Well, he that is soon angry will deal foolishly, and it's the simple that inherit folly. So the implication is that if you are angry quickly, you're going to act foolishly, and those who act foolishly are the simple. But look at what he says: the prudent are crowned with knowledge. Sean says, I was thinking about God getting angry. I would be more afraid to make God. I would be afraid to make God angry, but I contradict myself by saying that because I, like all other 7 billion people in the world, sin at times, and I know that has to anger God. I think we need to realize that as Christians, our sin saddens God. God loves us so much that he sent his only begotten Son into the world for us, right? That's how deep his love is. And so when we, knowing that, commit sin, it saddens God because it means that, we have failed. However, what would really anger God is one who has had his conscience seared with a hot iron, who has sinned to the point that he no longer cares, who has sinned to the point where the sacrifice of Christ is not valued. That would anger God. Sean says, the one that angers you has power and control over you. I have heard this so many times when I was taking anger management classes, whether it was Christian or non-Christian, as many times as I've had. And that's also where I've heard that we need to love and forgive quickly. But we jump then to 25, Proverbs 25 and verse 23. Remember, the king has just said, if thine enemy be hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he be thirsty, give him water to drink. For thou wilt heap coals of fire upon his head, and Jehovah will reward thee, which, by the way, is brought over into the New Testament in Romans chapter 12, verses 19 and 20. But he says here, following that, the north wind bringeth forth rain, so doth a backbiting tongue and angry countenance. So there are things that trigger our anger. In this case, as a north wind brings rain, so does someone who's constantly talking back, right? Someone who's backbiting, someone who's belittling, who's tearing down, who constantly is arguing. That triggers an angry countenance. And what we need to do is we need to learn what triggers our anger so that we can better learn how to control our anger. Absolutely, it takes a humble person to admit their wrongs and faults. And it takes a strong person to not only admit their wrongs and faults, but to strive to do something about it. Having said that a backbiting tongue brings forth an angry countenance, we turn now to Proverbs 29 and verse 22. Remember what we saw back a couple passages ago in Proverbs 24 or Proverbs 14 verse 17, which said, "He that is soon angry will deal foolishly." Notice this, verse 20 here in Proverbs 29. "Seest thou a man that is hasty in his words? There is more hope of a fool than of him." A person who is soon angry is going to deal foolishly. There is a person who is soon angry is one who expresses himself very hastily. And a hasty man, a man who is hasty in his words, is going to fall. He's going to say something that he's going to regret. We've also heard the adage that you got to be careful what you say because you may have to eat those words. Proverbs 29 verse 22, "An angry man stirreth up strife." How? By his hasty words. "And a wrathful man aboundeth in transgression." He's talking, he's saying things that he shouldn't say because there's no control over his tongue, over his temper. Did you have this one here, Sean? Ecclesiastes 7 and verse 9. The preacher says again, "Be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry." Do you notice how many times that haste and anger go together in a verse? Do you see a pattern? Anger begets haste, and haste begets anger. Be not hasty in your spirit to be angry. Don't run to anger. For anger resteth in the bosom of fools. Guard your heart, guard your spirit. Do I think that anger, cockiness, pride, arrogance, and filthy language are all in the same category? They're all sins. You cannot separate cockiness from pride or arrogance because there's the same thing. It's the same word for the same thing. When we get cocky is when we're proudful, or we're prideful, we're arrogant. We're confident in our own abilities. Yes, quickly. Hasty means quickly. They actually used to make a dish called hasty pudding. It was a really quick pudding, by the way. CJ's like, only you would know that, Levi. But anger and arrogance are both sins of attitude and temper. Filthy language is more an attitude. It's not just an attitude, but it's more of a deed. It's a deed wherein we release what we're thinking. We may be angry, but that doesn't mean we'll have filthy language. Filthy language is more, though, is a deed, and it can be expressed when we're angry, because that's when we let loose and we stop controlling those things that those reins. We let loose the reins that would normally control us and inhibit us. Nah, I don't have food on my mind. It was just one of those passing thoughts that ran through. So we've looked at some things in the Old Testament, especially in the Proverbs and the Ecclesiastes, that deal with angry. And I should do one on anger, and I will here in a bit. But what does Jesus say? And we know well what it is, what Jesus said about anger, right? I mean, obviously, what better passage can we go to than in the Sermon on the Mount, where he dealt with anger? You have heard it said that of them of old time, thou shalt not kill. And again, in the Greek, this word kill actually is murder. I don't know why they keep translating it kill. It is thou shalt not murder. That's the actual Greek word. And if you want me to, I'll even show it to you. To kill, slay, or murder. To commit murder. That is the word for it. To be a murderer. That is the word for it. That's the Strong's definition of it. To put to death, kill, stay, to commit murder. Absolutely. Okay. This is the Greek word that is used in the Septuagint when you look at the word at the Old Testament in Exodus chapter 20, where it says, thou shalt not kill. It is literally, thou shalt not murder. And by the way, the Hebrew word is also, thou shalt not murder. Pet peeve. All right, off my soapbox. Here we go. You have heard of it, that it has been said of them of old time, thou shalt not murder. And whosoever shall murder shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you that everyone that is angry with his brother shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council. And whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of the hellfire. If therefore thou art offering thy gift at the altar, and rememberest that that thy brother hath aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, go thy way, first be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. So what is it? What is it Jesus is teaching here? I already went to the New Testament, but we'll go back to Proverbs 21 verse 23 while you're thinking about that. Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. And you better be cross-referencing that with James. Notice what it says beyond that, Sean. The proud and haughty man, scoffer is his name. He worketh in the arrogance of pride. The proud and haughty man, scoffer is his name. He worketh in the arrogance of pride. He that keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. But the proud and the haughty man, the one who scoffs, cannot keep his tongue or his mouth. That's an additional. We got to be careful, since how you brought up pride and arrogance. What is Jesus teaching in Matthew 5:21 and 22? He's getting down to the heart of the matter. From whence comes murders and envyings and warrings? Do they not come from the heart? In the New Testament, Sean, brother can be used of nation, family, or religiously. So, which is being used here? Well, a brother, near kinsman or relative, one of the same nation or nature, one of equal rank and dignity, an associate, a member of the Christian community. Well, in this case, would be the Jewish community. Thayer says a brother, whether born of the same two parents or only of the same father and mother, having the same national ancestor, belonging to the same people or countrymen. In other words, all three. This can be used in either way. Teresa, you take care. Thank you for being with us up to this point. What are you doing? You want me to go back up? What? I'm not good at playing charades.
I'm telling Teresa he has 10 minutes before I.
Before you arbitrarily end the broadcast. I see that.
Keep preaching, brother.
There might be a way for me to kick him arbitrarily from the stream. So anyway, back onto the topic that he just made me lose 5 minutes with. So it can be any of those. It can be all of those. And in this case, it doesn't matter. Jesus is giving a principle. You shall not murder. And Jesus says, I say unto you, everyone who is angry with his brother, whether it be a brother, a blood brother, whether it be a national brother, whether it be a religious brother, or anyone, if you're angry with your brother, you're in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother Raka, and again, I want to look at that word Raka because that's important to look at, which it's a Chaldean origin, and it means worthless. So whosoever shall view his brother as worthless, shall call his brother worthless, is in danger of the council. And it's a term of utter vilification. I should probably click on that so you can kind of see. This is what Thayer defines as an empty, senseless, empty-headed man. It's a term of reproach used among the Jews in the time of Christ. Strong says an empty one, that is a worthless, utter vilification. Bitter contempt. And the only time it's used is right here. So if you are treating and viewing your brother as worthless, what does that say if we view ourselves as worthless? If Jesus says that your brother has worth, what does that mean for us? If our brothers are not contemptible, what does that mean for us? But whosoever shall say, thou fool. And by the way, if you look, what's the word we see here? Say it, CJ. You know it.
Stupid blockhead. Oh, moron.
Yeah, you see that. What do you think? You absolutely think of the word moron.
Moron, right?
And what does the word moron mean?
Well,
Dull or stupid? A blockhead? Absurd? Foolish? So if we're calling our brother a moron, what are we calling him? Someone who is made in the image of God. We're totally looking down upon them. What are we doing? Generally, Sean, the council was any assembly of magistrates, judges, ambassadors convened to deliberate or pass judgment. The Sanhedrin was a council. It could be a smaller tribunal. For example, the men who sat in the gates. Remember the worthy woman of Proverbs 31? Her husband sat in the gate. He was known. He had a reputation. He was part of the Jewish council of that city. In other words, basically, you could call your brother contemptible, and you'd be brought into judgment for it on earth. But if you dared to call him a moron, impious, fool, blockhead, stupid, you were in danger of the hellfire. People on earth wouldn't bring you into judgment, but who would? Who knows what it is in your heart that you're thinking when you bring this particular epithet against a person? God knows, doesn't he? People on earth don't view it as anything bad, but God does, because you are disrespecting God. There was a conversation that I had here not too long ago where I think I said something to this effect. God doesn't make mistakes. We need to understand that God does not make mistakes. He does not make useless burdens either. Every soul upon this earth has a unique purpose. They have the same purpose, to fear God and keep his commandments. Ecclesiastes 12, verse 13. How dare we look down upon anybody as useless, as worthless? How dare we? It don't matter what their how strong, how healthy they are, or it doesn't matter what their disability is. They all have a unique purpose upon this earth. I am no better than a person with Down syndrome. I am no better than a person who has $1 million. And a person who has $1 million is no better than me. In the eyes of God, we are all equal. We all have the same purpose. We are all worth the cost of his son's life. So don't you be looking down upon yourself or upon anyone else upon this world as worthless or useless, because God has declared them worth the value of his son's life. And God has declared them purposeful. Why does God call us stupid? Well, the question I have for you, Sean, is who created us? Let's go to Proverbs chapter 12, shall we? The New King James records this word brutish as stupid. And one is interestingly noting that bar means food as consumed, that is, of cattle, brutish. A cow is not necessarily stupid, is he? A cow knows when to flee and when to turn and fight. But a cow is brutish, without common sense, to know its creator, to make decisions and choices. The other words that could be used in place is not necessarily stupid, but foolish. We say a person has brawn or brains. Is a person who has brawn strength, is he stupid? No. It's just he's given to use his strength than he is given to use his brains. God is no respecter of persons, but he has established certain judgments and certain standards that we can judge. But who are we to judge another man's servant? God is our master, right? God is our master. Brown Driver Briggs says of this, brutish, stupidity. He that hateth reproof has made poor choices, is not willing to listen, is like a cow. How is he like a cow? A cow doesn't listen to reproof either. That's why you got to take a stick and jab it into his backside so he turns the right way you want him to go. Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? Who are you, Lord? I am Jesus whom you persecuted. It is hard for you to kick against the pricks. Jesus says, I'm pricking you like I do a cow. But God has said that you are worth the cost of his son. God has said that you have a purpose in this life. Don't you be looking down upon yourself as less than what God has looked down upon you as. Psalmist says we're worms, showing that we are of low stature, not that we are actually physical worms. Not that we have any less, but I mean, even a worm has a purpose. God created a worm to do stuff and a purpose. It wasn't worthless. The psalmist never said he was worthless. He says, I'm such a worm. I am so low. What is man that thou art mindful of him? Sean says it's like the scripture says. I can't think where. Who are we to? Oh, I already read that one. God created us, of course, and he alone is all powerful, all knowing, all present. God can do what he wished, for he alone has all authority. So if we're not careful, our temper can cause us to not be able to go to heaven. That is correct. We can sin to the point of where we die without forgiveness. The song that you have chosen and asked about, angry words, or let them never from the tongue unbridled slip. May the heart's best impulse ever check them ere they soil the lip. Goes again to the Ecclesiastes one that we read, I think it was 7 and verse 9. Be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry, for anger resteth in the bosom of fools. Let them never from the tongue unbridled slip. Be ye angry and sin not, is the idea as well behind this particular verse. May the heart's best impulse ever check them ere they soil the lip. Means restrain them, stop them. It is a man that is given to anger or hasty in his anger that regrets what he says. We are rather to love one another. 1 John, the entire book. Thus saith the Savior, children, obey the Father's blessed command. Again, we're in where? 1 John. Love one another. Thus saith the Savior, children, obey the blessed command. Love is much too pure and holy. We know that. That's 1 Corinthians chapter 13, is it not? God is love. Look at 1 Corinthians chapter 13. What do we see there? If I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not love, I am become a sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy, know all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but have not love, I'm nothing. If I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, if I give my body to be burned, but have not love, it profiteth me nothing. Love, it suffers long and is kind. Does that sound like anger? No. Love envies not. It vaunts not itself, is not puffed up. Does that sound like anger, pride, arrogance? Love doth not behave itself unseemly. It seeketh not its own. Is not provoked. There it is. There's anger in that verse. Love is not angered. It's not provoked to anger. It's not provoked to envy. It's not provoked to emptiness. It's not provoked to pride and arrogancy. It's not provoked to seek its own. It's not provoked to behave itself unseemly. In fact, love does not take account of evil done to it. It forgives. Love rejoices not in unrighteousness. It doesn't rejoice in the fact that the wicked are being brought down. It doesn't rejoice when bad things happen to bad people. It doesn't look for bad things to, look for somebody to suffer. Rather, it rejoices in the truth. It bears all things. And that bear there is it shoulders the burden. Not as in it exposes all things. It bears the burden of all things. It is willing to believe the good in all things. It hopes in all things. It sees the hope in all things. It sees that wicked person and realizes that there is still hope for them because there is still life in their body. And it goes to the grave hoping that that person will turn their life around. It endures all things, even the abuse heaped upon it. It still loves. As a parent loves a child, even though the child does and chooses wrong, there is nothing that will ever separate me from the love I have for my child. I may not like what he does or she does. I may not approve of their choices, but I still love them. And I will go to my grave loving them. And I will go to my grave praying for them. Love does not fail. Brethren, it's what causes us to never give up on each other. That's love. That's agape love. The caring concern for the well-being of another. Love never fails. Prophecies fail. Tongues, they cease. Knowledge, special knowledge, it's going to be done away. But not love. Why? We know in part, we prophesy in part, but then when that which is complete is come, that which is in part shall be done away. When I was a child, I spake as a child, I felt as a child, I thought as a child. Now that I've become a man, it's time for me to put away childish things. I have put away childish things. We now see in the mirror darkly, James chapter 2, verses 20 through 27, no? But then face to face, now I know in part, but then shall I know fully, even as I also was fully known. Now abideth faith, hope, love, these three, and the greatest is love. Where are we told that God is love? Anybody?
First John 4.
Verses 8 and 16. God is love. We've talked before in our gospel edification meetings. Was that in the October, November one, or was that in the January one? God is love, but love is not God. I think that was in the Living Faithfully. But the point of it is, anger has no part in love. But because we are human, we haven't done away with anger. And because anger is also a part of God, we won't do away with anger. But love is there overriding anger. That's love that sent Jesus. Love is much too pure and holy because God is love. It's holy. Friendship is too sacred far. Who is our friend? Jesus is our friend. Ye are my friends if ye do what I command you, right? If you love me, keep my commandments. Ye are my friends if you do. Friendship is too sacred, far. Your friendship with me is too sacred to let a moment of anger come between us. For a moment's reckless folly, do not be hasty in your spirit to anger, thus to desolate and mar. Anger tears down, it doesn't build up. Love builds, anger destroys. Angry words are lightly spoken. Remember what we saw in Proverbs? Wrong one. Let me go back a little bit further. Nope. Got to go forward a little bit further. An angry man stirreth up strife, a wrathful man aboundeth in transgression. Okay, now I've lost it. Hey, Darlene, good to have you with us. It had to be one of these. Well, anyway, 29 is actually a good one for this. Anger destroys and burns bridges. I know that from my life in the past, how I deeply regret it. An angry man stirreth up strife. A wrathful man aboundeth in transgression. Angry words, they're lightly spoken. Bitterest thoughts are rashly stirred. Brightest links of life are broken by a single angry word. Notice verse 23, a man's pride shall bring him low, but he that is of a lowly spirit shall obtain honor. An angry man stirs up strife. A wrathful man abounds to transgression, and a man's pride brings him low. It's a man's pride who is another trigger of our anger, right? Anger tears down. We're also told in the New Testament, like you said before, be angry and sin not, Ephesians 4:26. A elder of the church is told that one of the qualifications of an elder in Titus chapter 1 verse 7 is that they are not to be soon or quick to be in anger. And by the way, that's also where the filthy lucre is. Just thought I'd throw that out there for CJ from earlier. Sean says, anger destroys and burns bridges. I know this from my life in the past and how I deeply regret it. A word spoken in anger, how quickly it burns. I'm coming up on some that Yes, the Bible does have a lot to say about anger, angry, wrath, etc. Um, and Psalm 6:1 we read last week in our noontime nuggets. We're told, "O Jehovah, rebuke me not in thine anger." We don't want God to rebuke us in his anger. We'd rather he rebuked us in love, right? Whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth. We don't want him to be chastening us in anger and in hot displeasure. The anger of the Lord is like a fiery furnace, as Psalms 21 verse 9 equates it to. Thou wilt make them as a fiery furnace in the time of thine anger. Jehovah will swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them. Let me jump down to Proverbs anger more on that. Look what Proverbs, I believe this is the one you said earlier, or maybe not. Proverbs 14:29, he that is slow to anger is of great understanding. He that is hasty of spirit exalteth fear and folly. So the two are, it's a contrast. If you're slow to anger, you have understanding, you have control of your anger, you've got a great understanding. However, if you're not, you're hasty of spirit, you give rise to folly. Verse 30, a tranquil heart is the life of the flesh, but envy is the rottenness of the bones. We have to cultivate within ourselves a heart of tranquility. A peace that passes all understanding shall guard your hearts. Philippians chapter 4, verse 7, I believe it is. Look to this one, Sean. The soft answer turneth away wrath, but a grievous word stirreth up anger. The tongue of the wise uttereth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out folly. Again, we see anger and haste, anger and speed, anger and folly being joined together. Hold on. Excuse me. A little dust in my nose. Proverbs 15:1, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but a grievous word stirreth up anger. We read, then verse 18 of the same chapter. The wrathful man stirreth up contention, but he that is slow to anger appeaseth strife. Sean says, the biggest lie of all, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Trust me, words do hurt. The whole point of that was to actually build up oneself's confidence, to endeavor to build a thicker skin upon the person reciting this little ditty, to make it to the point of where words failed to hurt them. And let's face it, we can get to the point where we have become so calloused that words will not hurt. How often, how long will it take? And sometimes it takes a lifetime until a person has listened to these over and over and over again, having been torn down time and time and time again, to the point of where it does cease to hurt. They've cried out all their tears. They've bled out all their blood. Their bones have been broken and healed again. And we're talking metaphorically. Are you talking 15:4 or are you talking 4 verse 15? 15:4, a gentle tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is the breaking of spirit. A gentle tongue, not one of hardness. We can break the spirit. But what do you do when your spirit's broken? What do you do when your spirit's already broken? He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. Control yourself. Control your temper. Learn to control your ways. Proverbs 27 verse 4, and I skipped a few in here, but let's look at this one because we're going to need to wrap up. 27 verse 4. Wrath is cruel. Anger is overwhelming. But who is able to stand before jealousy? Better is open rebuke than love that is hidden. Wrath is cruel. It's a cruel taskmaster. Anger is an overwhelming flood. Once you have opened the gates to anger, even a little trickle, anger has a way of slamming those gates completely open and just taking over your entire psyche. Washing through you until the point that it is exhausted and you realize just how cruel you were in your wrath. Darlene says there's many forms of anger. You can be angry at yourself, angry at other people, angry at circumstances in your life. Sometimes we are so consumed with that anger, we lose our way and we miss so much good. It's hard sometimes to let go, but we must. Indeed, we must stop focusing upon that which triggers our anger. We must know what triggers our anger. We must watch for what triggers our anger. We must ward against or guard against what triggers our anger. But as soon as we recognize that the trigger is happening, we need to let go. We need to tell that trigger, you have no power over me. I'm not going to let you trigger me. God, take control. Angry words, oh, let them never from the tongue unbridled slip. May the heart's best impulse ever check them ere they soil the lip. Love one another, thus saith the Savior. Children, obey blessed command. Love one another, thus saith the Savior. Children, obey the blessed command. Love is much too pure and holy. Friendship is too sacred far for a moment's reckless folly, thus to desolate and mar. Love one another, thus saith the Savior. Children, obey the Father's blessed command. Love one another, thus saith the Savior. Children, obey the blessed command. Angry words are lightly spoken, bitterest thoughts are rashly stirred. Brightest links of life are broken by a single angry word. Love one another, thus saith the Savior. Children, obey the Father's blessed command. Love one another, thus saith the Savior. Children, obey the blessed command. Thank you for singing with me. Are you going to say goodnight night? Nice night. Sleep tight. Sweet dreams. Love you. Peaceful rest. God bless. You going to say God bless to them?
Bye.
Let no corrupt speech proceed out of your mouth, but such as is good for edifying, as the need may be, that it may give grace to them that hear. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of God, in whom ye were sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and railing be put away from you with all malice. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving each other, even as God also in Christ forgave you. These are the words that the Apostle Paul wrote to Ephesians 4. And he wrote again in Colossians, to the Colossians, put to death therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, passion, evil desire, covetousness, which is idolatry. For which things' sake cometh the wrath of God upon the sons of disobedience, wherein ye also once walked, when ye lived in these things. But now do ye also put them all away, anger, wrath, malice, railing, shameful speaking out of your mouth. Lie not one to another, seeing that ye have put off the old man with his doings, and have put on the new man, that is being renewed unto knowledge after the image of him that created him, where there cannot be Greek or Jew, circumcision or uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bondman, freeman, but Christ is all and in all. Put on, therefore, as God's elect, holy and beloved, a heart of compassion, kindness, lowliness, meekness, long-suffering, forbearing one another, and forgiving each other, if any man have a complaint against any. Even as the Lord forgave you, so also do ye. And above all these things put on love, which is the bond of perfectness. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to the which also you were called in one body, and be ye thankful. Anger has no part. Even when we see sin around us, we can be angry without sin. We can be upset. We can have righteous indignation without going to extreme and sinning. Sean says this is absolutely true. I've lost so much because of my temper, and if you let it, anger can absolutely destroy you and control you if you don't control it. Thank you, Brother Levi. I've got a lot to meditate on and think about, and I also need to repent of a lot of stuff that I was truly unaware of because I was too lazy and ignorant in the past to search and study the scriptures for myself. Darlene says, it is the devil's work. He will come at us in the smallest crack that is in our armory. Pure evil, especially if we give in. Then we are given the devil more of us than we are to giving to God, who deserves all of our services to him. Darlene says, good night, beautiful baby, to Shua. But thanks be to God, I'm learning from all my mistakes and what not to do, and also what to do to be pleasing to God. And isn't that our goal as we go through life? Each day, let's learn more about what pleases God. You know what? Let's sing that new one again. Well, the one with CJ you can't find. What is that one? It's like 684, I think, in this book. Nope, not 684. I know which one. I know what the name of it is, so that's good. $584. I was only 100 off. I need the prayers of those. I need the prayers. And we'll close this. We'll close out with this song. Definitely, brother, you got our prayers. You got our prayers. I need the prayers of those I love. Let me try it again. I need the prayers of those I love while traveling o'er life's rugged way, that I may true and faithful be, and live for Jesus every day. I want my friends to pray for me, to bear my tempted soul above, and intercede with God for me. I need the prayers of those I love. I need the prayers of those I love to help me in each trying hour, to bear my tempted soul above to him, that he may keep me by his power. I want my friends to pray for me, to bear my tempted soul above, and intercede with God for me. I need need the prayers of those I love. I want my friends to pray for me, to hold me up on wings of faith, that I may walk the narrow way, kept by our Father's glorious grace. I want my friends to pray for me, to bear my tempted soul above, and intercede with God for me. I need the prayers of those I love. Amen. I guess I must have been low on battery. Oh, okay. So, our prayer is that you have been edified through our study this evening, and I know I have, encouraged to greater faithful service, because that's what we do here at CEM. Encourage one another, edify, build up. That's what love's all about. I love you, and I want you to feel that love through our studies, our songs, and our prayers for one another. That way, when you walk with the King, you may know for a fact that whether we wake here on this earth tomorrow to serve Him, or we wake up in heaven tomorrow to serve Him there, you know where I'll be, because I'll be right there with you. I'll see you then. God bless.